What is going on, everybody? You are back on another edition of Ballin Over Beers, a fantasy and betting show. This is the Week 6 Bets Show. I am joined, as always, by my guy, James Fitch. But before we bring him in here, make sure that you smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. So every time that we got a show comes out, you are getting the notification and you know that we're up and running. And in the comment section, leave us what your favorite line of the week is, because I want to know from you guys what you're thinking. James, what is up, dude?
Hey, buddy. Not too much. Ready for the bye weeks to start rolling in and for us to start scrambling with our redraft lineups every week.
Oh, yeah, we're in full-fledged injury and bye week mode right now. It is getting wild. How was your week? Was it better than most of the kickers in the NFL?
Yeah. I don't know how you could be any worse than that. That was.
I'm actually really sad that AK's not on with us, because I really wanted to give him shit about his Bengals kicker celebrating, thinking that he made
a goal. What was that? I feel bad for the guy.
Dude, I was like so confused at first, because I was like half paying attention to it. I'm like, oh, he's celebrating, they won. And I'm like looking at him like, that did not go in.
No, I knew that it didn't go in, and I'm like looking at my wife. I'm like, are you watching this? Like, I think he thinks that he made it, and she's like, yeah, that's what it seems like to me. I'm like, he definitely didn't. And like, you could see the guys off to the side be like, yo, like, you didn't make it.
Yo, man,
you missed another one.
Oh, dude, I couldn't believe the kicking. Like I always say, though, kickers, man, they're the worst. They
really are.
But I'm coming off of a hot week. I was doing the old 1-4-1-4 point thing for us, and I got a 5-banger. I was hot.
Yeah, you were. I'm still waiting for one of us to get all the picks right. It hasn't happened yet. And just with the freaking lines this year, man, like these books know what they're doing. It's been super hard.
I think, the lines this year have been extremely sharp, extremely close, like right on. And then I also think it kind of in like in accordance with that is the pricing on DraftKings. Like, we'll have our DFS show. Make sure you check that out as well. But man, I feel like DraftKings pricing too is they're just not giving you any discounts. They are making you pay and really figure stuff out.
This is going to be one of those weeks. We'll talk about it on that show, but I feel like last week, I think 260 took down the Millie. It's going to be like one of those weeks where like just over 200 takes it down.
Yeah.
I had a cash lineup that scored 202 points. And the cash line for the ones that did a bunch of double ups, 25, 10, 5, and the cash lines there were like 175, where normally it's like 125, 130 points. So I feel like this is going to be one of those weeks where like the cash line is really low. The line to cash and to win tournaments is going to be a lot lower than last week, is my gut feeling there.
Does that mean we should bet a lot of unders too? Less scoring, maybe? A lot of home dogs this week. That's
yeah.
That's what I'm kind of. It's very interesting week. What is it, like nine home dogs or something like that?
And that's what it looks like. Yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to totals, but the week I bet all these on. Last week I was on overs, that bit me, so I'd bet unders this week, and then I'd lose those two probably.
Yeah, nine home dogs this week. That's a big number. Let's recap last week, and then we'll get into this week. What do you say?
Sounds good.
All right, so we'll go over AK's first. AK is, just living life. Ryder Cup earlier. Now he's in Vegas. The guy is just living the dream right now. So I'll go over his picks. He went 1-3-1. So he pushed the Packers Cincy game with his Bengals kicker celebrating missed field goals. And then he got his lock of the week pick right with the Giants losing to the Cowboys. The Cowboys were a 7-point favorite. That's actually the only game that I got wrong. And I really thought that the Giants in the divisional game would be able to keep that just a little bit closer. But man, Dallas is Dallas is rolling right now. They're pretty good. He also got the Ravens -6.5 with Indy, Washington +2 he took, and then Carolina -3.5. So 1-3-1 on the week. He is still, however, in first place with 16.5 points in our weekly competition that we are doing. So, James, why don't you go ahead and recap yours?
Yeah, I also went 1-3-1. My only win coming with the Steelers. I felt really good about that game. I just kind of thought that it was really a get right spot for them, and that's what it proved to be. Losses with the Washington football team, I had them +2 against the Saints, and they just look bad. Heineke, I think that was probably his worst game as a starter. They just couldn't really get anything rolling. They gave up a Hail Mary touchdown pass at right before halftime. You just kind of know that things aren't going to go well the rest of the game when that happens. I thought the Pats would roll the Texans. The Texans came out on fire. Luckily, I have 2 survivor picks. One of them was the Patriots, so I'm glad they were able to come back. And I had the Patriots and the Vikings last week for survivor. So two sweats. But I thought they'd blow them out. They didn't. When I made this pick, I didn't realize that they were going to be missing 4 of their starting offensive linemen. That was tough. And then Baltimore -6.5. They just get off to slow starts, especially in some of the primetime games. They were able to win by, I think, 6 in overtime, but couldn't cover the 6.5. So that was unfortunate. So 1-3-1. I'm in last place, but a lot of football to be played.
Yeah, Lamar saved me. I needed 35 going in that game. He scored 58.
I needed Mark Andrews to score like 15 more points. If he could have just had like another long touchdown catch, would have been solid. But
he went off too. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I went 4-1 on the week, so my best week of the year put me up to second place. It's really tight. Akey's got 16.5. I had 15. James has 14. So we're all right there. I got the Colts over Baltimore. I got the Chargers over Cleveland, Chicago +5 over the Raiders, and the Detroit +8.5 was my lock of the week. So, and as I mentioned, the Giants lost to the Cowboys was the one game I got wrong. 2 things I want to ask you before we jump into this week. One, how much do you love the 9:30 a.m. for us Eastern time football games in the morning? Because usually Sunday mornings I start game planning for my stuff and I'm doing all that, but man, it was great to sit down and have NFL on, and even if it was the Jets and the Falcons, and then we got another one this week.
Yeah, I mean, I like having football on pretty much all hours of the day. On a Sunday, it's tough for me because I spend, Sunday morning trying to spend time with my kids, and I'm trying to like prep food for the day and, get food ready for my son's daycare for the week. So it made it a little bit more challenging. I was out in the kitchen with the game on my phone and stuff like that for probably most of the first half, but I can't complain about having football on, like I said, at all hours of the day. Pretty much every time segment's covered. My wife's not a big fan of it, obviously. I'm sure yours isn't either. But it's interesting too, because now that they're doing that, I think this is the last one of the year, right? They're not doing that many London games, but with this and with the bye weeks, like the main slates for DFS are pretty short.
Yep, no doubt. And they are talking about, I don't think it's gonna be this year, but they're talking about getting games to Germany too. So I wonder if that'll be more Europe games that they're going to have during the week, some more morning football. And like I said, I would usually got stuff going on in the morning as well, like kind of same thing, but let's have it on in the background to listen to it, if nothing else.
For sure.
And then my other question that I was going to have for you is, what do you think about the NFL signing that deal with ESPN and Disney for the wild card game being on Monday night? Because I am not a fan.
No, I see. I liked it last year. They got everyone excited with the super wild card weekend, right? You got 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. There's 1-4, then there's the PM slot. Like, that was awesome. I was really looking forward to that again, and then they have to go and take that away from us. And I don't know, from a viewership perspective, it won't really do much for me. I'm gonna stay up on the Monday night. I'm gonna watch the game, but whoever's playing in that game's at a disadvantage, right? Like, there's no shot that team's playing Monday and then Saturday, right? You have to give them the Sunday game, but whoever that is, they're at a day disadvantage from a game planning strategy, from a rest strategy. Like, I mean, who goes? That's got to be that like Saturday at 1 p.m. Houston Texan Buffalo Bill classic matchup. Like that's got to be that Monday night game where it's just like, all right, you guys are the worst.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give you the game where you're at a disadvantage. Like, I mean, I don't know how they decide who's in that matchup.
Yeah, I have no idea either. And like you said, it's a disadvantage. And I don't like them, especially in the playoffs. Like that doesn't make any sense to me that that's how you want to do it. Like I get it, you're trying to extend it and put football in front of people like as much as you possibly can, and that's what the NFL does, and that's what they're good at, and that's why they make so much money. But man, that is definitely a distinct disadvantage for whoever has to do that. Moving on with one last day of preparation, but
For sure.
the NFL will do what they do to make as much money as they can. We know that for a fact. Let's go on to week 6 and talk about some of our bets. So, James, why don't you go ahead? We'll let you start since Akey's not here.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with I'm gonna take the Raiders plus 3.5 at Denver. Divisional game. I like these road favorites getting 3 plus the hook. I think it's gonna be a close game. I don't think the Raiders will be really that affected by the coaching change. I think their assistant coach that's being promoted has been in the system, so I think the style of play is going to be pretty similar. I just like the Raiders to bounce back. I mean, this could be a positive for them too. I don't know, how Gruden was received, and sometimes when you're, in a 2-game losing streak, you just need kind of a change too. So I'd like to see them rally around the new coach, and getting 3.5 points, I think is favorable. So going to go with the Raiders plus 3.5 for my first pick.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see how the team responds to the whole debacle that was the John Gruden resigning and the emails and all that kind of stuff. And clearly we're still waiting to hear what is going on with the Dan Snyder stuff, the Washington football team, and that entire investigation. It's just the whole situation was bizarre, and man, it's you never like to see the comments that Gruden made. Just tough scene there for sure. But let's talk about AK. What his first pick is. He has the Arizona Cardinals +3 over the Cleveland Browns. I also have that pick, and I think James, you also have that pick.
Arizona podcast.
I mean, it's just if you're going to be an Arizona podcast, you got to go all in on it. You got to have everybody.
None of us had them last week.
I know none of us did, but Arizona getting 3 points just seems like too many to me,
Yeah.
right? They're one of the better football teams in the NFL right now. Now the Browns aren't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but 3 points is just too much for this Cardinals team to be getting. I think I'll take the points in a team that's been extremely well.
One thing I'll note on that game, we don't have to spend a ton of time talking about it since we're all on the same side, but Kyler popped up on the injury report today. I think it's a right shoulder, which is concerning. There were views of him being worked on during the 49ers game late in the game, so that's something to monitor. Makes me nervous because I'm a Kyler quarterback holder for our main redraft league, and this happened to him last year where he got hurt, he stopped running, he had like 3 bad games in a row. So something to keep in mind. We'll have to watch the injury report if you're actually going to put money on this game, later on this week. But I still like them getting points at this time.
Yeah, as of we're recording this on a Wednesday night, too, the Browns are pretty banged up too. So they had a bunch of guys not practicing today. So that is definitely a game to keep an eye on. But obviously, of everybody, a quarterback's going to move it, and especially a quarterback like Kyler Murray, if something comes out where he's seriously injured. Why don't you go ahead and give us your next game, James?
So we talked about Arizona. I guess that would have been my second game +3. My next one will be, I'm going to take the Bills. I rarely do this, but having them -5.5, I just think they'll be able to move the ball pretty easily against a poor Titans defense. The Titans offense scares me a little bit. Last year when they played, we saw a blowout. The Bills didn't have Trey White. They didn't have Matt Milano. I expect Trey White to be playing in this game, and hopefully Milano can come back. I just think the Bills defense is playing at a much, much higher level than they were last year, and to get Buffalo under a touchdown with that offense, I think is favorable. So I'll take the Bills to cover that 5.5.
Do you worry that this is just a massive letdown spot for Buffalo coming off of a huge win against Kansas City? which, obviously that's a game that they played in the AFC Championship game last year, and it was kind of been the measuring stick for not only the Bills, but every team in the AFC. So coming off of a massive win like that in Arrowhead, now you got to go to Tennessee.
One, so I'll say no. I think one, McDermott's a great coach at kind of keeping his players humble. I think he'll manage expectations there too. And two, they got blown out in prime time to this team last year. I think there's probably slightly less motivation than the Kansas City game last week to beat them, but they did not look good against this team in a primetime setting last year. And I think they know that, if they win this game with their easy schedule the rest of the way, I think they're going to be in an advantageous position to lock up that one seed. So I'm really not too worried about that. I'm really worried about Derrick Henry and AJ Brown, and if Julio comes back. I mean, that offense hasn't really clicked just yet, and they're going to at some point, right? And which game is that going to be? But again, the way the Bills defense has been playing, I trust them to hold them in check.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the Titans defense has been pretty pitiful this year, so I don't see the Bills having much trouble scoring any points on them. Next pick for AK, he's actually taking the Rams -9.5 over the Giants. That game is an interesting game. I think that it's moved quite a bit. He said it's actually 13.5. I'm seeing on DK Sportsbook. I'm looking at the wrong game. Let me just make sure the line hasn't moved. All right, no,
I think
so
I
it's
still
still
have it
nine
at
and a
nine
half.
and a half.
Yeah, it's still 9.5. I was looking at next week, the Rams game. So still 9.5. I actually like a lot of the pieces for the Rams, fantasy wise. The Giants are just not very good. It's going to be interesting to see if they have any of their receivers back. I don't think Kadarius Toney is going to get arrested, suspended for the fight or anything like that. But they would be down certainly a lot of skill guys if that was the case. If none of the other receivers come back, so I do think that the Rams are in a good spot there, even though the 9.5 number is quite large. My next game I'm going to take is Carolina +1 over Minnesota. Carolina, I just think is the better football team. The Minnesota right now, their defense isn't great. They're banged up. I think, obviously they have Justin Jefferson. We'll see what Dalvin Cook's status is. Not that it's a huge drop off to Alexander Madison, especially as far as production and fantasy is concerned. But I do like the way that the Panthers have been playing for the most part this year. I still think that they're getting a ton of pressure on the quarterback. So I think that's going to be a huge advantage for them if they can get after Kirk Cousins, potentially force some turnovers and stuff like that. So I'll take the Panthers to beat them +1.
What's going on with Minnesota's offense the last 2 weeks? They scored 7 points against Cleveland, and then last week they barely won. Low scoring game. Like I don't know. I don't know what's wrong there.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And all their games have been like weird scoring points. Like, hey, it's at one point in that Cleveland Minnesota game a couple of weeks ago, it was like 5-2. Like, what is going on right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't. Obviously with Justin Jefferson, he's still been pretty productive, and so is Madison, but they're just not the points aren't following the production really. And maybe it's Kirk Cousins, and if their offensive line isn't doing what it's supposed to. Cousins doesn't play usually well under pressure, and if that's why I like the Panthers so much in this game, because the Panthers do create some pressure. So that could be what it is. Let's see. So you've already given 3. We'll give AK's next one. He's on his Bengals -3.5 over the Lions. This I looked pretty hard at this game. Does this spread just seem like really weird to you?
Like it should be more.
Yeah, like I know I took the Lions last week when they're +8.5, but like man, and they've just kind of hung around in every game, but 3.
No, I agree with you. I think this seems weird. I'm looking at this harder too, and I think I like Cincinnati -3.5. I think Detroit's played hard. Not a lot of talent, but we've talked about it. I think Dan Campbell's going to be a good coach. He seems to get his guys like playing around him, and if they can continue to build that roster, I think eventually they could be a good team. But they've played so many just close games that I just feel like this is going to be one of those blowout spots.
And they're
So
banged up
yeah,
too. Like Hawkinson's banged up. I think Cephas might be banged up. Like Amon St. Brown or whatever is like the only receiver like that they have like left on the outside. Like obviously they have Swift and Jamal Williams and stuff, but their defense is bad. They haven't been able to stop anybody. And the Bengals offense has looked pretty good. Burrows keeps just getting better and better every single week. Like this should that line does not seem right. That may
no,
be when I attack. Put some real life money on.
yeah.
Why don't you go ahead with your next one?
Yeah, so I am going to go with the Chargers. It's plus 2.5 on DraftKings right now. I think you and I bet it at 3. I'd love this at 3 more than 2.5, but I'll still take the points on the road. I just think the Chargers are overall the better team. Baltimore's played well. I don't think they can keep winning games the way they've been winning, where they get off to slow starts and make these big comebacks at the end. I think that's going to come back and bite them. And I just like the way that the Chargers have been playing. So Baltimore's defense has been giving up a lot of points still. They're nothing special. I think the Chargers offense can outpace them, and they're getting points here. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. So I'll take that, and I'll take the points.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. AK's next pick is the Cowboys -3 over New England. And that pick, I believe, is both mine and yours lock of the week as well. Right?
Yeah.
I'll let you go ahead and you can talk about it first.
Yeah, I just think the Cowboys offense is too explosive, and their defense has been playing really well, which is kind of one of the biggest surprises of the year. I don't know. New England, this could be one of those games where New England comes out and plays like the way they did against Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. Hopefully we don't get a monsoon again in this one, but I just think at -3, I certainly think Dallas is going to put up points. They're going to have their share of success on the offensive side of the ball, and I just don't think the Patriots are going to be able to stop them. So I like them kind of as a short road favorite.
Yeah, I'm right there with you for pretty much all the same reasons. I just think the way the Cowboys are playing right now, I mean, you got to consider one of the best teams in the NFL because they are not only getting it done offensively, but like you said, defensively, they've got to be one of the biggest surprises of the year. Trayvon Diggs is a defensive player of the year candidate early into the year. He's got an interception like every single game. The Patriots they just don't create enough explosive plays on offense, I think, to be able to keep up with them. So I like the Cowboys there -3 quite a bit, and that'll do it. AK's lock of the week: Green Bay -4 over Chicago. I think that's pretty good number there too. The Bears offense is just 1930s. I don't even know. They just want to turn around and run the ball a million times, and it's not even Justin Fields running. They're just handing the ball off. It's, as an Allen Robinson fan and someone that has him on redraft leagues, it is just brutal to watch and see.
Yeah, they look like they're just hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
I mean, bad offensive line, coach and GM are probably on their way out. They're a mess. You have this game in your picks too, right?
Yeah, I did. Did I skip that one?
Yeah. I don't know if you mentioned it.
No, I think I did skip that one, but yeah, I do too. I mean, is it crazy to say that Andy Dalton gives them a better chance to win right now?
Probably with his experience with that offensive line, I would think so.
It's just so bizarre, like, to me, and it's a lot of it goes like, I just don't understand like what Nagy's doing offensively. Like, why are you not utilizing Justin Fields' athleticism and trying to get him more comfortable with the game speed in the NFL by letting him run a little bit and throw some quick passes, and if he doesn't see it, take off and run. Like, it's that's kind of like what I expected it to be. Like we saw with Trey Lance with the 49ers, right? They were doing design runs all over the place for him, just using what he has, and they're just not doing that in Chicago. It's pretty ugly to watch.
For sure.
All right. Recap: AK's picks: Arizona +3 over Cleveland, Dallas -3 over New England, Rams -9.5 over the Giants, Bengals -3.5 over the Lions, Packers -4 over the Bears. And mine is the Chargers +2.5 over Baltimore. Green Bay -4 over Chicago. Carolina +1 over Minnesota. Arizona +3 over Cleveland. And lock of the week, the Cowboys -3 over the Patriots. Why don't you go ahead and recap yours, James?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Raiders +3.5 at Denver, Arizona +3 at Cleveland, Buffalo -5.5 at Tennessee, Chargers +2.5. I realize I'm picking all road teams, which scares me. Chargers +2.5 at Baltimore, and Dallas -3 at New England. That's not good.
No, it's always when you look back, you're like, oh shit, this is not what I was expecting. But I don't know. I like a lot of the sides you're on too, so I guess we'll find out.
We will see.
You can find James on Twitter at Fitchy24. You can find me at JDiz1617. You can find us at Ballin Over. Make sure you're checking everything out that we're putting out there. We got this show out. We got DFS show coming out. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us your favorite line, and we'll talk to you next week. Good luck, everybody.